Nikola Jokic was never supposed to be this good. At this point, Jokic is seen as one of the best players in the NBA and certainly a top 2 center in the league, probably the best. And at this point this season, Jokic is having one of the best years of his career and he's seen as an MVP frontrunner. For not only how well he's been playing individually, but also how much better he makes his teammates around him and how the Denver Nuggets are playing as a unit. The transformation that we've seen from Jokic to when he was originally drafted to now has just been incredible to see. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Nikola Jokic was drafted with the number 41 overall selection during the 2014 NBA draft by the Denver Nuggets. And originally when Jokic was being drafted, he was seen as a guy that had a bunch of different skills, but he wasn't necessarily seen as a guy that could put everything together right away and be a productive player immediately. But once it came around to Jokic's first official rookie season in 2015, he started to play pretty well. That season he averaged around 10 points per game on 51% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds on 2.4 assists. Now obviously those numbers don't jump at you, but when you consider where he was drafted and the expectations that most had for him, that was definitely a very impressive rookie season. Because not only was he putting up pretty decent numbers out there, he was also showing a lot of things that he was showing overseas, and overall he was just looking very impressive. But during the 2016 season, that was Jokic's first real breakout season. That year he averaged around 16 points per game, shooting around 58% from the field, 9.8 rebounds on 4.9 assists. Now in his rookie season, he definitely did show some nice things like a decent scoring ability, a nice ability to facilitate at times, but in his second season, he just looked a lot more polished out there. And you can tell not only was Jokic putting in a ton of hard work into his game during that offseason, but also he gained a ton of confidence from his rookie year. And after that 2016 season, Jokic never looked back. During the 2017 year, he bumped his numbers up once again, averaging 18 points on 50% shooting from the field, 10 rebounds on 6 assists. The year after that, he bumped his numbers up again until he got to the 2021 season, which was the best season of his career. And during that season, which was last year, he averaged 27 points per game on 58% shooting from the field, 13.8 rebounds on 7.9 assists. Just incredible numbers. The trajectory that Nikola Jokic was showing was not supposed to happen. He never was supposed to be even half of as good as he is today. The Nikola Jokic that we're watching out there today is a guy who's legitimately phenomenal from all 3 levels. He's an extremely skilled scorer that has a great ability from that 3-point range, whether you talk about the pick and pop, spotting up, or even at times creating for himself from that 3-point range. He's just phenomenal from there. But also besides that, he's even better from that mid-range area, whether you talk about a catch and shoot, post turnaround fadeaway, sometimes even creating for himself from that mid-range area. And overall from that mid-range, he's just tremendous, and that's probably the best aspect of his offensive abilities. But once driving all the way to the basket, Jokic is also great. He has a really nice post hook in the lane, he has a nice ability to put up layups around players, nice baby floaters and close, and overall from all 3 levels, he's just tremendous, extremely skilled and extremely efficient. But of course, as we all know, the great thing about Jokic is not only is he a great scorer, but he's an even better passer and playmaker. This is certainly the best part of his game. Jokic is not only a guy who's a great center passer and playmaker, he's just a great passer and playmaker in general. He does a great job at handling the ball at the top of the key and analyzing the opposing team's defense and always finding the open guy for easy looks. He also does a tremendous job at initially looking for his own shot, and then if he gets doubled or tripled, he always finds the open guy as well. Jokic is literally the exact type of player you want to play with out there. Not only does it take a ton of pressure off their point guard, who's Jamal Murray at this point, but also it takes a ton of pressure off everybody out there because they can get a lot more open looks and they don't necessarily need to do as much when you have Jokic out there on the court. And the fact that we even have a player like Jokic really shows how far the NBA has come and how much more skilled players have gotten over the years. Because even though Jokic specifically is a unicorn, there's nobody like that guy, when you look at the general NBA, it is pretty clear that a lot of guys have become a lot more skilled, so it is crazy to see how much the NBA has progressed as compared to the 80s or 90s. But just shifting back to Jokic, originally people thought he maybe could be a decent starting level guy in the long-term future. So the fact that not only did Jokic become that in his second season, but the fact that he's as good as he is today, clearly one of the best players in the NBA, it's just crazy to see the level of progression and the level of growth that he's had. And honestly, it's kind of crazy to see the lack of accurate scouting on this guy. Now obviously Jokic back then was a completely different player than he is now. He's made significant improvements in literally every area, but even back then it was pretty clear that he did have some skill. Now one thing that I will say is there are a lot of guys that do come from overseas that look like they're pretty skilled and they're big men, but once they come to the NBA they don't necessarily pan out all that well, or even if they're a decent player they're probably supposed to be better. But obviously there are certain outliers and it's very clear that Jokic is one of those guys. And going forward long term, I don't see Jokic slowing down whatsoever. I expect him to continue on this level of play, maybe even get a little bit better in terms of certain things offensively that he can improve on, maybe certain things defensively he can improve on, and overall just become a better player. But obviously in terms of significant upgrades, there's nothing really that he can do. He's phenomenal from everywhere. He's phenomenal at literally everything offensively. It's just incredible to see a guy that skilled and that talented. But now the question is, where do I see the Denver Nuggets going for the rest of this season? Now of course there aren't all that many games left during the regular season, but those limited games that they do have are actually extremely important for the Nuggets. The Nuggets have been on somewhat of a rough stretch as of late, and they need to utilize these final few games to really get themselves back on track. Now they're not playing horribly bad, but they are losing a couple of games that they probably should win. So therefore I really think it's important to end the regular season on a high note and make it to the playoffs hot. If the Nuggets are able to do that, I think they will have a ton of success with really whoever they end up playing in the playoffs, whether it's the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors, OKC Thunder even, Utah Jazz, even the Dallas Mavericks if they somehow fall. I think the Nuggets would be able to beat all of those teams relatively easily. Now maybe some of those matchups would be more difficult than others, but at the end of the day, I think the Nuggets would be able to beat them in at the maximum 6 games. And if the Nuggets are able to have a lot of success there, maybe get a quick easy series, then in their next round whoever they play, I do also expect them to beat whoever they play unless it's the Phoenix Suns. That's a tough matchup. But there are a lot of other teams in the Western Conference that I think the Nuggets are just better than. And going forward from there, we'll see what happens. But I do think overall in terms of the roster, and also of course when you consider they have Nikola Jokic on their team, the Nuggets definitely have a really good chance to make it to the finals. Now whether or not the Nuggets end up winning a championship is going to come down to health of course to their main guys, but is also going to come down to the general play of Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and some other of their guys as well. Because in terms of Nikola Jokic, I'm very confident he's going to play at an elite level like he always does. Jokic is going to do everything he can out there to not only make him better, but also make all his teammates out there better as well. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening once it comes down to playoff time for the Nuggets. But I'm very excited to see what they're able to do. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Nikola Jokic was ever supposed to be this good, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.